All right, guys. So we have Joe Teti from Dual Survival, and he's going to talk to us about prepping, survival, firearms, tactics, and current events. And I got a bunch of questions for him. But for those of you guys who don't know who Joe is, he was on the show Dual Survival from Discovery Channel, and he has a military background. He was in the Marines, Army, and then he was part of a special operations unit. Is that correct?
Yeah, with the government.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so he's got a strong military background. That's, his career, right? He has a training company, training course that he offers. It's called Spartan Americana. He has a supplement line. It's called T1 Supplements. T1 Performance Nutrition, correct?
Correct.
And he also wrote a book recently, which I read. It was really good. I highly recommend you guys read it. He also sells autographed copies of the book if you're interested. He puts out an intel report every Sunday, right?
Correct. Yep.
And you could subscribe to that service. It's $10 a month, right?
Mm-hmm. You get 4 months, correct, for $9.99.
Okay.
Yep.
So I don't know if you want to just expand a little bit on the training course that you offer, the Warrior's Edge training course, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we started about a year ago. We've ran 4 courses to date, and we were supposed to have one in September, but COVID, half the class got sick, so we couldn't even have it. Our next course is actually December 10th, 11th, and 12th. It's here in North Carolina, and it's a 3-day course. And very long days, 15, 16-hour days, and food and lodging is included. Basically, it covers about 20 different topics, from carbine to pistol to apprehension avoidance, land navigation, leadership, Kim's games. Very, very comprehensive course. And if you go to SpartanAmericana.com, you can see the promo video and watch some of the testimonials from the people that have attended the course. We've had white collar workers, blue collar workers, a preacher, a husband and wife. We've had a real gamut of people that have attended the course and had some pretty good reviews. So we got that going on. And then, of course, my supplement line, T1 Performance Nutrition, we launched it about a week ago. Took about a year to get off the ground because I personally tested every single product. We have 4. We have a pre-workout, an immune response, testosterone booster, and a multivitamin. And it's for 45-year and older. And we started it because I personally have been taking supplements for 30 years. And as you get older, what your body needs when you're 25 isn't what your body needs when you're 45. And I couldn't find anything on the market. I'm like, this is BS. So I started doing my homework. I did about a year's worth of research. Met with a lot of people, partnered with a great company, partnered with their doctors and their nutritionists, and we created our products. So that just got launched. And, of course, I got my performance coaching business with Dale Comstock, my partner, who great guy, former Delta dude, stud, doctor, got his doctorate, really good source of knowledge, and one of my mentors, actually. And then we do have the Intel report that comes out every Sunday. And I will tell you, for those listening, look, it's unbiased. It doesn't sway left or right. It's factual, vetted information that I have bounced off of other sources that I have. And some of it you'll like and some of it you don't like, but I'm giving it to you straight so you can make your own decisions. And we talk about, it just depends what goes on during the week, but what's going on with China right now, Russia, we talked about Bitcoin one time. It just varies. So it kind of hits the whole gamut. So you can also, if you want any information on all of this, just go to joeteti.com, TETI.com, and everything's on. You just click and it'll take you to the site. But yeah, I've been really busy, man. Just trying to keep busy after getting off the show and just trying to make my mark, so to speak.
Well, you definitely are. I mean, you have your own companies now. I mean, that's great. So congratulations on that. And That's awesome. So just so you guys are aware, I'm going to leave the links to all his stuff in the description box below the video. So if you're interested in his training course, his book, his intel report, and I'll also leave a link to his website as well if you guys want to check that out. So it's all there in the description box below the video. So let's talk about current events. We're living in some crazy times right now, to say the least. The last year has been pretty crazy. So based on what you're seeing and hearing, you know, you do your intel report and stuff like that, and, you know, being someone who's connected to people, you know, in the military and so on, and your background, what would you say right now are the most credible threats to our national security going into 2022 and, let's say, the next couple of years?
Right off the top of my head, China. You know, it's just a matter of time till they, you know, crawl all over Taiwan. You know, they didn't build those 5 islands in the South China Sea for their good looks. You know what I mean? You can Google that stuff. Those are military bases. Cost them hundreds of billions of dollars. They didn't just build them to build them. Okay. So China for sure, Russia for sure. And you know, those two countries are in cahoots against us because, you know, what does Sun Tzu say? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right. So definitely China, Russia, you know, and then we've got our internal threats, you know, so our own country's kind of imploding from the inside out. But externally, I would definitely say, you know, China and Russia. And then, of course, you know, Afghanistan and how it completely fell apart. We basically built the largest terrorist training camp in the world. So that's going to come bite us in the ass in the future for sure. Maybe not, you know, tomorrow, but give them some time to get organized and figure out what kind of assets they actually have. And yeah, they're going to come back. That's going to be a nasty situation for sure. But yeah, that's my answer.
Now, being someone who served overseas, does that, when you heard about the news of Afghanistan falling to the Taliban and seeing the videos of, you know, the Taliban driving around in Hummers, did that make you upset? I mean, I would be upset.
Yeah, it upset me, but did it surprise me? No. Once the mission went from a counterterrorism mission, which it was, the original goal was to go over there and get bin Laden. Right. When that went from a counterterrorism, like special operations mission, and then somebody somewhere said, well, let's start doing some nation building. I knew right there the gig was up, because you can't just walk away from nation building. You can, but it has to be done correctly. And the way we did it was not the correct way, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Multiple mistakes made, and you know, I don't want to bash anybody here, but it just, I wouldn't have done it that way. But does it surprise me? No. You know, I you could see that coming, you know, because we were basically taking them by the hand, you know, and once you walk away from that situation, you know, it's kind of like just taking a cane away from a blind person. I don't know how to put it, but it's like, it just wasn't there, you know, it wasn't there from the beginning. And I knew it wasn't going to last when we left. So no, I'm not surprised. Like mad and upset. Yeah. A lot of people died, and, you know, I've lost a lot of friends and people got hurt for what now? I don't know. Yeah,
that's sad. Do you think it's possible that, is it too far-fetched to think that maybe Iran or some of the other, you know, belligerent countries could use Afghanistan as like a proxy, maybe arm them, give them some weapons, missiles?
Dude, the same thing I just said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You better believe that they don't have to worry about Iran. If you don't think China and Russia hasn't been like, hey, do you need anything? Can we give you a hand? Right? If you don't think that's happening, you're nuts. That's definitely happening, you know, because they're hands off. They don't have to do anything except you need some money, which, you know, they're well funded. They now control, you know, all the, you know, opium sales in Afghanistan. So yeah, of course, there's going to be people helping them try to get going for sure.
And I forgot to ask you earlier, you're on Twitter and not Facebook, you're on Twitter and YouTube, correct?
Yes. I do have a YouTube channel. Excuse me, I have a YouTube channel. I had a Facebook page. I have a new one, but Facebook in its infinite wisdom decided to shut down my one page, and it was my official page, and I made a comment about Coca-Cola, and the next day it was shut down. So imagine that, right? Yeah, all good. It's all good.
Well, so I was going to ask you, you know, being someone who's on social media a lot, and do you have anything you want to say about like the cancel culture? Or it seems like social media has really gone really far with censoring people's freedom of speech nowadays, especially in the last year or so. Like, for example, me, I had many of my videos taken down, and you know, because of everything going on with the, you know, with the virus, it's like you can't express your opinions anymore. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, dude, it happened to me on my Facebook page. My comment was about Coca-Cola, talking about the way they were teaching their employees about the white culture and the white, all that stuff. And my only comment was, what do you think about this? I didn't even make a comment. I just said, hey, folks, what do you think about this, with a link? And the next day it was shut down. So, yes, it's disgusting. It infuriates me. And, you know, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. I mean, you know, and that's one of the ways you control a society, is by what they see, hear, and what they can say.
Yeah, it seems like it's been getting worse and worse for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess we'll move into some other topics now. We'll go into prepping, which is my favorite topic. So would you consider yourself to be a prepper? I know that like nowadays, that's kind of like, you know, there's a stigma attached to it. It's like a negative thing.
Right.
But I consider someone a prepper if they're just, you know, they have a preparedness mindset. They're always thinking ahead. You know, they're thinking about what kind of supplies do they need? Do I need some extra food? Do I have a water source that I can get if the power goes out? Do I have a bug out bag? Do I have plans? Would you consider yourself someone like that, or not too much?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I there is a stigma with the word prepper, you know, because some people are radical, like real on one side, you know, where they got bunkers and ammo. I mean, that's fine, you know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm a prepared person. Right now, if there was a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, I am perfectly capable of taking care of myself and some friends, and for a considerable amount of time. I have a way to defend myself. I have a place I can fall back to if I needed to. But yeah, it's just preparedness. Call it what you want. It's an insurance policy I hope I never have to use. That's what I tell people. It's insurance that, you know, it's insurance is great when you need it. You know what I mean? But I'd rather have it than need it. You know what I mean? And in this situation, or current environment, I think people should think twice about not at least having some food and water. And I've seen people go to fisticuffs over a case of water at a gas station when we had a storm here. Like, you know, like, come on now, you know, thank you.
Yeah, I always like to say that you don't live to prep, you prep to live. You know, prepping should not be like your main thing. You're prepping to you know, have a comfortable life and have that insurance, but you don't want to make it like this obsession that's unhealthy. And
correct,
you know, and start preparing for alien invasions or something.
Yeah, you got to be able to live your life, you know. But just have it in case you need it. That's it.
Yeah, you can't be like panicking or paranoid all the time, because
that's not healthy, like you said.
Yeah, it's not healthy. Yeah. And so I was going to ask you, related to that, in the last year or so, with everything going on, you know, a lot of us preppers, you know, even though we're like far ahead of a lot of other people, you know, everything happening in the last year, we've really ramped up a lot of our prepping, you know, buying more food, squaring away things, you know. Is there anything that you've done? You know, you don't have to get too detailed, but have you actually like changed things around, or is it like kind of like a wake up call in certain ways for you? Like, oh man, things are really going south now.
I mean, I personally think things have gone south for quite some time. The only thing that I really changed, or didn't change, but added to my toolbox of, things I can use is I've got 2 solar generators. We lost power here not long ago for a while, and I had a gas generator, but guess what you couldn't get? Gas, right? So, and I didn't have enough stored. Thought I did, but I didn't. So now we've got 2 solar generators that can power stuff. So that's about the only really thing is I learned from an experience like, hey man, this is a great generator. It can generate enough power to power the whole house. But if you don't have fuel and the fuel ran out, you're done. So and I also have a propane generator too as well. So I've got 3 types: gas, propane, and solar. That's about the only thing.
Yeah, the problem with gas generators is they guzzle gas. Like people don't realize, like they go through gas like crazy. So, I mean, even if you had 100 gallons of gas stored up, you're gonna burn.
And I did. That's exactly what I had. I had 4 25-gallon things and went right through it.
Yeah, and do you even want to keep that much gas around your house? That's the thing,
Right. And you got to treat it as well, because gas, you can't just let it sit. It has a shelf life. You got it once it gets to a certain point, it gets kind of gelatinous. You got to start adding additives to it, or you can't use it. So so I kind of, that for sure would be the biggest thing. But pretty much I've been prepared for years.
Okay. Is there anything in particular, like throughout your life, that made you say like, okay, I really should start getting prepared? Or is it just, being in the military, or, just the way you were raised? Or
it wasn't the way I was raised, which is really funny. I wasn't raised with that prepping mentality. It definitely would have to do with the military. And then the last unit that I was in, we had bug out bags, in our vehicles. And so in case we, had to shit can the vehicle and go on foot, we had our bug out bags right there. So I sort of, I got a really good idea on what, should go in them. And I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm contemplating building bug out bags. So there's a ton of bug out bags on market right now and survival kits. And let me tell you something, folks, I don't know who are making these things, but some of the stuff in it just doesn't make sense. Like gardening gloves. I mean, come on, gardening gloves. And I mean, okay, a bug out bag is meant for 72 hours. That's it. Get from point A to point B. You're not catching animals. You don't need snare wire. You don't need 550 cord. You're moving from point A to point B. You need food, water, shelter, fire for 3 days. That's it. So the food is just some Ditrex bars. That's it. But you need water. But I have looked at some of these bug out bags that people are selling, and I'm like, half the crap in it is useless. So I'm kicking around an idea of building one for people, and they would be custom made to order. And I'm really busy right now, but I've seen these and they just make me like scratch my head, like what is this for? And I'll give you a perfect example, and I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole, but what do you need a multi-tool for in a bug out situation?
Not much. Yeah.
They're in every single one.
Yep.
So any of you that are watching, get a hold of this guy and you let me know what you need a multi-tool for. Useless piece of gear in a bug out bag. It has zero reason being there. None whatsoever. And I've got some things that I'm putting in mind that I've had in mind, like a Silcock key. You know what that is?
Yep.
Dude, it's a must-have. If you're moving through an urban environment, and I mean, a Silcock key can get you water in a commercial building. But here's what somebody will say: well, I'll just use my Leatherman, my multi. No, you won't. Because the way that key is, you can't stick your Leatherman in and open it and grab the key. It won't work. I've already tried. So shit can your multi-tool, guys. That's thing's useless. It's useless.
It's just dead weight, right? I mean,
they're
heavy
dead weight. And you got to be ounce conscious, But anyway, I'm thinking about doing that. It's just because I got a good one. I got a really good bug out bag, man. Mine, I show people my wet sea course and they're like, wow, will you make me one of those? I'm like, But and it's not expensive. It's very Spartan, but it's got the right stuff in it. It's got the right stuff in it, and only the right stuff, not this and that. Let's throw this in and did. Your bug out bag should be 20% of your body weight.
20%.
Period. 20%. For those of you that got a bug out bag that weighs 60, 70 pounds, I challenge you to go for a 20-mile walk with that thing on and see how you survive. Remember, you're going to be walking with it, and you may have to walk 30, 40, 50, 100 miles. 20% of your body weight.
Yeah, you don't even know how far you're going to be walking. That's the thing.
Exactly. And I have carried an 80-pound rucksack. It'll smoke your bags, and I'm in really good shape. The average person, you ain't going 10 miles with that thing, dude. You're going to be dumping shit out like, don't need it, don't need it, don't need it, you know?
Yep, I agree. I agree. I see a lot of people overpacking their bug out bags. That's really cool.
My bug out bag's this big.
That's good.
Small little rucksack. Small, but it's got everything I need in it. Very well thought out.
That's really good. And having a smaller pack is good too, because, you know, if you have to get through a tight space or you have to climb, or, you know, it's not like you're going to be on a hiking trail where everything is cut out for you and everything's flat.
That's right.
So, you know, you don't know where you're going to be, and you don't want to have this big thing on your back, you know. You
may go from rural to urban to rural to urban. You don't know. But I take into account that, and I take into account, is it a permissive environment, a non-permissive environment, a semi-permissive environment? It all means something. Like, you know, if for whatever reason things just went completely batshit crazy here, and all of a sudden you had UN soldiers in the streets, there's a few pieces of kit that you should have in your bug out bag. And I'm not talking about weapons, I'm talking about specific mission specific kit for security and all kinds of things. And it's not expensive. I think I can build one of these bags for about $200.
Really? That's cheap?
Have everything in it. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yep. I'm working on
it. Really good. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. That's cool. I'm sure it's going to be really good. So I will talk about bug out bags more in a minute here, but I was going to ask you, what do you think are the most important skills that every concerned citizen, prepper, you know, preparedness-minded person, would you say would be the top skills? If, say, like 3 or 5 skills that you think are the most important to learn and master?
Number 1, mindset, without a doubt.
Mindset.
You can have all the whiz-bang gear and ninja this, and if you don't have the mindset to persevere, all of that gear ain't going to save your life. You know, it's just not. You've got to have the mindset. If the crap really hits the fan, are you going to be able to do what you need to do to survive? And you got to be honest about it. You got to be able to look in the mirror and go, you know, I'm 60 pounds overweight. I probably won't be able to walk 40 miles. Well, that's a problem, right? That you can have that's a problem. So I would say mindset for sure. Kit is kit, right? They're tools. Yep. But if you're not physically able to move that distance and carry that weight and have the mindset, it's for naught. Matter of fact, about 4 months ago, I did a 2-day event with some friends of mine. We all brought our bug out bags with us. And we walked from where I live to Charlotte, which is about 48 miles, okay? And it was along, you know, off the highway in the woods, and then kind of went cross country. Went in and out and spent the night and shook out our gear and used everything. And it was like, wow, and really fine-tuned it. But there were a couple guys that actually there were 6 of us. 2 guys had to call their wives to pick them up. Couldn't walk any farther.
Wow.
And we didn't walk that far. We walked half the distance. So split 48 miles, so 24 miles. They were done.
Was that because they were overloaded, or was it just not in good shape?
Out of shape.
Out of shape.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna call a spade, out of shape. They had never walked that far in their life. So for those of you that are listening and you're like, oh, I got a bug out bag and do yourself a favor, put it on someday and go for a walk and spend the night out. Use your stuff. even if you don't want to go for a walk, at a minimum, go in your backyard and spend the night in the woods somewhere and shake your gear out. Put up your tent in the dark, right? Do you have a flashlight or do you have a headlamp? Two different pieces of kit. Flashlight, useless, because you need to have both hands when you set up your tent and all your kit, right? So those are the people who have the flashlights in their bug out bags. Get rid of them. Get a headlamp. Get a headlamp that's got a red light on it as well, because red light at night can't be seen like white light. So all these little things, shake out your gear, just like an assault vest. I've worn all kind of different assault vests, and and I've learned a few very hard lessons about how I wore my gear. Very hard, life and death shit. But anybody listen, if you got a bug out bag, do that. Just spend one night outside, just the closest woods you can find, and just spend a night in your bug out bag stuff, and do it in austere. Like I'm gonna actually, I just bought a new blanket, Mylar blanket that's in my kit. It's a reusable one. It's like a sleeping bag, right? I just bought it, and I want to. When it starts getting cold here, I'm gonna sleep outside in it, and I'm gonna fill it full of leaves. I'm gonna test it out and see if it really works. This company brags about how warm you are in it. Well, I'm gonna test it. Because you don't want to be testing your stuff in a real world situation. You better know you have the faith in your gear. Like, I know if I use this, it's going to work because I've already tested it.
Yeah, I learned that just from being a hunter, like preparing for deer season.
Sure.
You always go to the range, make sure your gun is sighted in, make sure your ammo's good, because you can't just hope and pray and expect a miracle all the time, You got
to confirm your zero and check. Yeah, absolutely. It's no different, and I highly, highly encourage it. And if you've got the fortitude, take a weekend and just do it. Go for a walk as far as you can until it starts getting dark, and then park your carcass in the woods somewhere and spend the night, and then walk back and see how far you walked and see how you feel. So, like I'm doing a 100-mile race in October. I've never done one. It's a 100-mile ultra marathon. I've never gone that far. I'm doing it just to do it. I don't care what place I come in. I don't care if I come in dead last, but I want to check the block to know in my head I can move 100 miles. I think you have 30 hours. You have 30 hours to move 100, and it's through the Uwharrie forest, right? So it's up and down and up and down. So that's something I'm doing just for my own edification. I'm just doing it. So, but anyway, has to do with physicality too. So
you say mindset, physical fitness. What about
100%.
Medical skills? Do you think that some people, I know now in the prepping community and it's like all the tactical stuff on YouTube, the big thing is blowout kits and tourniquets and all that kind of stuff. And my whole thing about that is if you have to actually use a tourniquet, you're in a really bad situation. I mean, if you're by yourself and you're, 10 miles away in the middle of nowhere, I mean, the tourniquet may buy you some time, but I mean, come on,
Yeah. I mean, I carried a tourniquet in Afghanistan. It was right on the stock of my M4. And I actually had two, one on the stock of my M4 and I had one in my kit. But one thing I'll tell you, these bug out bags you can buy and you see that has little Band-Aids and little this, guys, really suck it up. Like a Band-Aid is not going to help you. It's just not. If you get a traumatic injury, that's a different story. Maybe some Curlex or a bandage. But I'll be honest with you, I have a tourniquet in my bug out bag because I'm here to tell you, if you do need it and you don't have it, you're dead. I knew a guy that died. He got shot in the ass. It's not even funny, but he got shot in the ass, but the round came out on the inside of his thigh and it severed his femoral artery. And we found him with his tourniquet on, and he bled out before he could get it on. But you could see that he was trying. But it's a piece of kit that if you need it, it's going to save your life. But like you said, if you're 10 miles away from something, you're in a shit sandwich, man. You're in big trouble. But if you need it, it's going to save your life. If you don't have it, you're going to bleed out for sure.
It's good to have, but what I guess what I was saying is it's good to have. It's one of those things you should have. But I don't think it's one of those things where it's okay, I have this and now I can survive any situation. It's you know how to use it. You know the limitations.
Yeah. I have very minimal medical stuff in my bug out bag. I don't have Band-Aids, and I don't have, you know, an ace bandage in case I hurt my arm. I mean, I don't have any of that stuff. I just don't, you know. I have stuff to treat my feet. That's what I have. Because if your feet go, you've had it.
Right. Blisters. Yeah.
So I have stuff to treat my feet.
That's good. Like moleskin.
Moleskin. I got super glue. For, like, I don't know if you ever super glued cuts together. You can use super glue to do it. I used it on my show when I had really, really bad feet. I would glue some of the stuff together, and then second skin, which is the stuff you can put on. It burns like hell. Like if you have a blister, it's like tincture of benzoin. It burns like hell, but it makes a second layer of skin. You know, stuff like that. That's real neat. That's, you know, like having an extra pair of socks. Like, duh, you better have an extra pair of socks in your bug out bag. Doesn't weigh anything, but you better have it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess we'll move into bug out bags now. It's a really popular topic. We've already been talking about it, but I want to get a little more into it. So what would you say, you know, you've kind of already touched on it. What would you say are some like general rules of thumb for setting up a bug out bag? You know, not just what you put in it, but like selecting the bag itself, how it fits, and what are some common mistakes that you see? You know, like you already touched a little bit on that. Is there anything else that you see that people do?
Quality. So for those of you that have a bug out bag and you got a cheap backpack, remember your strap breaks, it tears, the zipper breaks. You're going to be leaving stuff behind. It's going to be hard to carry. A quality backpack. Absolutely. And a quality backpack with a 2-liter bladder in it. You can go days without food, weeks, but 3 or 4 days without water, you're a hurt locker. You're going to be hurting. So water. The ability to treat water. You know, I have a survival straw in mine, and I've got some iodine pills. But water. You know, everybody's like, oh, I'm putting food. And I've got a couple power bars and some Daytrex bars, and that's it. You're not at the buffet at Caesar's Palace. You're getting from point A to point B. You need energy. That's it, right? And water. But a quality backpack. A lot of mistakes that I've seen with people, they had, you know, really cool stuff, but they had this cheap ass backpack that they bought, you know, on Alibaba for $5. And it's like, dude, you need to get rid of that thing. Like, I'm not saying you got to go out and buy a Kelty or, you know, a North Face bag. Sure, if you got the money, absolutely. But get something that the straps are solid. That's what you don't want, your straps, and just zippers. You know, make sure you have YKK zippers. But that's about it. You know, it's just a quality container to carry your stuff. Okay. So let's move on to some other aspects of bugging out. What would you say are some considerations for actually bugging out? So you have your bug out bag, right? But your bug out bag is just a pile of stuff. You know, how do you actually get from point A to point B? What are some things to consider when you're planning your bug out, you know, getting to your safe house, you know? Route selection is everything. And that's one of the things we talk about in my WETC course. We go through my entire bug out bag, and it's great that you have all this stuff, but you know, you need to have, if you don't have it on your phone, you need a very good land nav program. I have an electronic compass on my phone. Plus I have a compass in my bug out bag, but you need to know if you're at work and you need to get home, and the only way you can do that is by walking, or whatever reason, you know, you don't necessarily want to walk down the damn roads. You may know the route on the roads, but that may take you 50 miles. But if you knew how to go cross country and cut the distance in half, like, can you navigate? Can you navigate? Yes or no? It's great when you have all the technology, but if that shits the bed, can you still navigate? So having one of the things I have in mind is a map, just a regular 1/50,000 topo map with the route on it, laminated, ready to rock and roll. Right.
Yep.
And so that is the biggest thing is, can you navigate and in the dark? If you don't think that I'm not bugging out in the dark, you better believe I am, dude. I'm going to take advantage of the dark.
Sure.
Because I'm used to walking in the woods at night. Most people aren't. But can you navigate at night? Can you? If you can't, you need to take a look at your TTPs right there, because you're lacking. You need to be able to move at night. So that's another biggie.
As far as moving at night, do you recommend like I have a little thermal monocular that I have in my bug out bag?
Absolutely.
Some kind of night vision, something light and small.
Absolutely. If you can afford it, and that's where it gets down to the environment. Are you moving in a permissive environment or a non-permissive? So if I'm moving at night and I see something way up ahead, flashing lights, and you think I'm walking up to it going, hey, what's going on? Oh, hell no. I'm going to be standing off, looking through my monocular and seeing what's going on. So yes, having that I have one in my bag. Absolute must, dude. Absolute must. Very, very good choice of kit. Yeah.
That's good. That's not something I hear a lot of people mentioning when it comes to bug out bags is some kind of night vision.
Absolutely must have. You need to be able to observe something from a distance in case it's a security issue, where you don't have to walk right up on it. By then you get hemmed up. Like, hey, come here. Like, oh, hell no. Yep. I'm going to be 100, 200 yards away looking at you and be like, man, they're checking people's IDs. This guy's getting in a police car. Nope, I'm going around it. You know what I mean?
Now, another thing I would like to touch on too, this is kind of a popular topic as well, is for your bug out bag, depending on what state you live in and your legality and stuff like that. But most people would like to have some kind of firearm with them when they bug out. And a lot of that depends on, if you work in a place like New York City where you can't have any kind of gun, then obviously, but if it's legal to do so, obviously you want to conceal carry something. How much ammo would you say is a reasonable enough amount to have on your person and in your bag? Like, you don't want to carry too much.
Right. Very good question. And I hear this all. Like, I got a buddy of mine, he's got like 8 M4 mags and a broken down M4 and all. I'm like, dude, who are you getting into a gunfight with? Okay. If you are getting into a gunfight and you are shooting that many rounds, you need to get the hell out of there. You need to break contact and leave. So to answer your question, one in the gun, if it's a pistol, and maybe 2 extra ones. That's it. You're not out there gunning people down. It's force protection. You shoot, break contact if you have to, and you leave. You're not sitting there getting into an extended gunfight. That's not what you're there for. You need force protection, period. That's it. And hopefully never have to use it.
I would say it seems like bugging out would be also a lot of like an escape and evasion type situation where, you're not going to be, just because you have a gun doesn't mean like you're going to walk up to someone and act like you're invincible. You're just going to compromise yourself at some point, right?
If you're bugging out, you shouldn't be bumping into anybody. You should be able to walk, and I teach this in my course. We call it the gray man part of the course, where I teach you the gray man theory. How you should look, how you should act, right? How you should carry your gear, what you shouldn't carry, how you should talk, what kind of clothing are you wearing? Are you wearing like, BDUs and a freaking baklava and what? Dude, you're sticking out like a sore thumb. You should have clothes in your bug out bag as well that you can put on. If you walk through an urban environment, you're not going to stick out, right? You're just a gray man. So there's a lot, and we get in the weeds with this stuff. But to answer your question, if you got a pistol, Glock 17, 1 in a gun, 2 extra mags, that's plenty. That's plenty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people focus on bugging out, but I don't think a lot of attention is paid towards bugging in, which is, a lot of people don't have the option to bug out of their location. They don't have a secondary property they can go to. Most people just have their house and that's it. Right. So what would, being someone that was overseas in war zones, this is something that I think, is an area of expertise for you. What would you say are some things that people could do to, let's say, harden their homes and improve their security while they're bunkering in during a long-term situation.
Right. I personally, I have friends with like-minded friends, and we do have a place that we can go to. But maybe you can't get there. Let's pretend you can't. So I talk about this again in the WETC course about home security. So the big thing about home security, hardening your house, is to not look like a soft target, right? So if you ever drove down the road and you're driving through a neighborhood, you see a lit up house, and one that's pitch black, that's not who you want to be. So what I would tell you, and people are like, well, dang, Joe, that's expensive. No, it's not. You can go to Walmart and for $100 buy 8 solar powered floodlights that are motion activated. I have them on my property. I've got 10.
Okay.
All around my property. Yeah. So that's one. Light up your house, light up your property, right? Because people that see that, especially if they have bad intentions, if there's a dark property out there, if they're like, man, I need food or whatever, and that guy's got lights on. And I'll tell you another one. I talk about this in the course. It's a proven fact. 82% of the people that see a sign that says attack dog on property ain't going.
Okay.
Even if you don't have one, put a sign out like that. I do have one. And I've got 2 signs at the end of my driveway that says surveillance camera and attack dog on property. Right? That is huge when it comes to deterring people, because if you'd have to have a big set of, to go on somebody's property knowing there's an attack dog on it or not knowing. Right. Right. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I'd just go to the next house. Like, nah, I'm going here. So don't be a soft target. Lighting, signs. At night I pull on my blinds because you can't see out, but people can see in. Like, there's a million things, dude, that you can get into. But the biggest thing is when you drive by your house at night, look at it. Does it look like a house that if you had bad intentions looks easy to get into, or it's just dark? That's the biggest thing. Signs and lighting. I mean, we can get into more stuff, but that's the biggest thing. And for those of you that, and I hear this a lot, oh, I live in a great neighborhood, I don't even lock my door at night. Guys, you're a fool. I lock my bedroom door because if somebody does get in my house and they come to my bedroom door, they're gonna have to kick it in. And that gives me enough time to wake up, get a gun in my hand where I'm not like, hey, wake up, dude. You know what I mean? So there's a million things, and we can do another podcast about this, but that is a long conversation. But if I would say 2 things, lighting and signs, that will deter a majority of the persons out there, unless they are absolutely hell-bent on getting you for some reason. Oh, here's another one. Here's a biggie. I don't know whoever's listening. If you tell people, oh man, I've got 10 M4s and 5 pistols and 10,000 rounds of this and 5,000 rounds of that and 100 cases of MREs, why are you doing that? Because guess what? If it gets bad, you're the house that I'm coming to, and I'm going to take your shit. That's what a bad person's going to do. Don't give away your secrets. The only people that should know what you have is you and the people that live in your home. That's it. Not even my best friends know what I have in my house. And I know it sounds kind of crappy, but they don't need to know. Right. And it's not that they would do anything. It just takes one person to go, oh my God, yeah, Joe's got this and this and this and that. No. You're not going to know my security posture. You're not going to know if I have cameras, which I do, but I've got covert cameras and other cameras that you can see. But my house is wired-tight. Good on you if you can get in here and get me if shit goes down. You're going to have a hard time getting by my dog. My dog's going to bark at you. And if it don't get you, which he is, I'm going to get you. So, but yeah, keep your security, your TTPs to yourself. Don't go on Facebook and say, oh, look at how much ammo I just bought. Look at all of it. Look at this. That's just stupid, guys. Don't brag about it. because if the crap does hit the fan, what you now own becomes solid gold.
Yep, that's right.
Solid gold. And let me tell you something. After about 72 hours, people turn into animals. And it's like, you know what? You've got two, you give me one or else. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes.
I'm sure you have.
That's my advice.
Okay. What do you think about, let's say, getting together with your neighbors and maybe, you know, I don't know if nowadays if that's a little bit controversial to, let's say, have a meeting with your neighbors and talk about, you know, what would we do if things got bad? Do you recommend doing that, or is that?
Man, I'll be honest with you. Before you even have a conversation like that, you had better know very, very well the politics and the belief of the people you're talking to. Because if you start spouting off, well, you know, things go bad. You know, I got a 50 cal in my backyard, and what do you got? You know, I would ease into those conversations and not just spill your hand out. But yeah, it's always like personally, you know, I've got people, you know, within close proximity that are friends of ours and like-minded people that if I go away for the weekend or something, they're watching your house and stuff like that. But when you start talking about like, hey, you know, are you going to hunker down with me? You can find out first what these people, you know, what they got under their fingernails, so to speak. You know, if they're not politically in the same camp as you, or, you know, Second Amendment people like you, I wouldn't even have that conversation. I just, no, absolutely not.
But would you recommend some kind of like group, like a survival group, like people that you can trust, like your group of guys that you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. There's strength in numbers. Oh, absolutely. Strength in numbers. But, you know, you better be damn sure who's in your numbers.
Yep, absolutely.
If you have any doubt whatsoever, no way. No way. You know, that can turn into a real bad situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of the things I notice is nowadays the prepper groups are like getting really popular, and people will have like Facebook community pages, and they share like all their preps on the Facebook page, and they meet up and do training exercises together, which is good. But you don't realize sometimes that some of these people that you're doing the training with, they're observing you. They see, you know, he's got this kind of gun, but he doesn't have this kind of gun, and you know, he doesn't have these supplies, or he doesn't know much about this kind of skill, but I do. And you have to be very careful who you're training with too, you know.
Yes. And let me tell you, I'll just tell you, I'm not going to say their name. Our second class for WETC, we do background checks on everyone.
Okay.
Right? You come to my course, I'm doing a background check on you, whether you like it or not. That's my right, because I'm teaching you things that I don't want to teach somebody with a sketchy background. Well, long story short, this one individual had a very sketchy background. I'm not going to say what organization they were involved in, but definitely not people that I want to be associated with. And I refunded his money. I'm like, sorry. I gave some excuse, and I said, sorry, you can't come. Yeah, no, yeah, you better know who you're getting in bed with. You know, that's a biggie. And you know, I've seen these. I've been asked to join these groups before. I just don't. I'm very private. I don't like my stuff out there on Facebook and like, oh, look at this and look at that and look at that. I mean, I do it for business. But when it comes to my family and my safety, that is, I treat it like top secret information. You know, like unless you don't need to know, you don't need to know.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, it just invites problems. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a chink in the armor. For those of you who are listening, you may have a great plan, great kit, great, but you have now dented your armor, because secrecy is a great currency in a bad situation, right? I always used to say that when we're planning missions overseas. Secrecy is a great currency on the battlefield. And if it turns into a battlefield, having some secrecy is a good thing. It doesn't mean you're trying to do anything, but I don't let people know anything unless they need to know, especially when it comes to the security of my family. Nothing. If anything, I'll give you misinformation. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I'll give you misinformation for sure. but you're not going to know. Yeah, you're not going to know my security posture, what I have, what I don't have. No.
Yep. No. Sounds good. And you know, related to bugging in, excuse me. There's a lot of people in the prepping community that are concerned about like marauders. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard that term. They're just bandits of bad guys. Do you think that that's
vigilantes?
Yeah. Well, not vigilantes, but like, you know, outlaw groups that are going to go door to door and take what you have and, you know, rape and pillage.
Sure.
Do you think that's a realistic threat?
Oh, dude, 100%. Because I mean, the people that aren't prepared, if something got really bad, they're going to learn very quickly the oh shit factor, right? Their kid, dad, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm hungry. You know, if they're not doing it individually, right? If they don't do it individually, they may get with a buddy and say, dude, you got any food? No. You have any water? No. We're starving. Yeah. And people, you know, and I hear it all the time. Well, I'm a good Christian. I would never do that. Look, I'm a good Christian too, but I'm here to tell you, there is a certain point in time where a person, you know, you basically go to your id, right? The internal, like, I need food, water, shelter, period. And I'm going to get it any way I can. It's almost animalistic. You know what I mean? Like, you'll turn into that person, whether you're a good Christian or not. It's going to happen. It's survival, or you're just going to die. You know what I mean? That's it. You basically are going to, you know, come to the fact that, well, if I don't do this, myself and my family are going to die. Yep. And I don't know too many people will just be like, okay, we're just going to die because we don't have any food or water. So let's just sit here and die. I think it's a very real threat. Very real. And I talk about it in Wetsy. I talk about that exact thing and how to deal with it. You know, yeah, I mean, I think it's a very, very real threat. And for those of you that are watching, they're like, well, I'm rich. I'm a multimillionaire and I live in a nice neighborhood. You're the first place that they're going to come to. I guarantee it. That not some little house out in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be the high profile people with the big houses that maybe don't have their security posture. And I know people like this, you know, that they just think because, well, I live in this beautiful neighborhood and it's gated, you know, really, I can just go right around the gate. That means nothing. Nothing in security. Gates are a joke. Fence is a joke. Go over them, under them, through them, whatever. But yeah, I think it's a very real threat. 100%.
Okay. So I want to ask you some survival stuff now. So when you were on Dual Survival, first of all, did they tell you ahead of time, like where you were going, or was it everything was a surprise?
Yes. They told us where we were going. Yes, they did.
So with that being said, did you like research the area? Did you do anything special besides just researching, but also like, did you do any specific type of workouts before you went out into the bush? Did you do any kind of mental exercises? Did you change your diet? Did you like carb load before you went out? Did you, you know, what were some like specific things like that you altered to get yourself ready, you know, because it's very taxing on the body.
Oh yeah, dude, it was brutal. Answer the first question. Yes, I knew where we were going. Yes, I did an area study. And I was provided an area study by the production company. And like where we were going, and it was thick. It was very, very, very professional. Because look, guys, do you think that I know every plant in every country? I mean, give me a break. I know what's around here, but you know, you send me to Romania. How am I supposed to know what's in the Romanian, you know, in the Carpathian Mountains? Give me a break. So you study, you know, and we did. I had an area study. I usually read it on the plane on the way there. And, you know, so I knew when I got there, okay, this plant's dangerous, this mushroom you can eat, this. So I kind of already had a good idea. So yes, to answer your question, area study, absolutely. Training, absolutely. When we went to Nepal, we were near Everest. We were at extreme high altitude. I wore an elevation training mask for 6 months before I went there. And I knew that we were going there eventually. They said, we're going to Nepal for sure. So I started training with that so I could acclimatize myself to the altitude. Bomber, guys, if you want a really good piece of kit for working out, it's called an elevation training mask. Check it out. Just Google it. Bomber piece of kit. But I'm in good shape. I've always maintained myself in good shape, so I wasn't really worried about the walking or swimming or any of that stuff. But I know this sounds kind of hokey, but if I knew we were going somewhere like Exuma in the jungle or in the tropics, I would go sit in a tanning bed before we left, because I didn't want to fry, which I still fried, but not as bad.
Right.
So I kind of had a base tan before I left. What else? Of course, wearing the proper clothing. I knew where we were going, so I had the proper clothing, proper boots, proper cold weather gear. Or Matt and I were in Exuma, and I was in shorts the whole time and no shirt, but almost butt naked the whole time. But but yeah. So and then as far as like specific eating things, like carb loading, not really, man. I just eat healthy. And well, actually, a couple times I knew it wasn't going to be just 5 or 6 days. It was going to be longer. I would eat a lot. I would eat a lot of pasta. I'd eat a lot of pasta, and I'd super hydrate, almost to the point where I was nauseous.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So because you'll and like I remember in Vietnam in the jungle, and I never sweat so bad in my life. I was soaking wet from just sweat. And matter of fact, my clothes were so nasty from that episode, I threw them in a garbage can.
Oh wow, that's
crazy. They were like rotting on me, like from the no, seriously, like my shirt like started falling apart from the rot. I mean, yeah, it was just and you stink. I mean, just stink like ammonia. And then when it really gets bad is when you don't smell yourself anymore, where people are like, God dang, you smell. And you're like, oh yeah. And then 5 days later,
right,
you can't even smell it anymore. You're just,
wow.
Yeah, nasty.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Wow. That sounds so did you because what I would do is I would stuff myself and try to put on 10 pounds before I went out. Did you do anything like that? Or
no, I didn't, man. I didn't want to put on a lot of weight because I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'9", I'm like 197 right now. And I used to weigh myself before I left. I would lose 20 pounds every time I go. Oh, dude, yeah, I'd lose 20 pounds. But I didn't want to overstuff myself because they wanted us to look fit.
Right.
Especially with Matt, because Matt was a pretty studly guy, man. He was a runner and a swimmer and a climber. He was had a very athletic physique. And so I didn't want to be standing next to this dude with a big old gut, and where he was very comfortable in the woods and didn't care about that stuff. So, they wouldn't, they probably wouldn't have liked that discovery, but like, dude, okay, don't show up like this again.
Right.
Like 200 pounds of chewed bubble gum.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. So when
dude, it's all about the aesthetics, Yep. They want you to look good. People want to, women watch the show, guys watch the show. I'm a spec ops guy. They expect me to look like a spec ops guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. So when you were, let's say you got to a location, they dropped you off there. What were some of the first things that went through your head of what do I have to do now? Did you have a strategy that you would follow for every location, certain specific things that you would say, okay, I'm here now. I have to go get water. I have to find what was your plan of attack basically?
Sure. And that was completely situational. So for example, if you're in a snow environment, there's water. Okay, you can melt the snow because you should never eat snow because it drops your core temperature. You melt it and then you drink it. So if you're in an environment like that, you don't worry about water. You're worried about fire, immediately. Like when Matt and I were in, it was the one with the broken down snowmobile. It was 25 below zero at the top of this mountain. I mean, it was so cold. People were throwing their water up in the air, and it was poof, turning in. It was freaking. So immediately you got to get warm. We need a fire, or we're not going to survive the night. So it was situational. What was the priority? Was it food? No, never was really food. It was either shelter. If it was, I remember in Pennsylvania, we shot an episode, and it was the only episode we ever shot. Let me think. It was the only episode we shot that started at night. They all start in the day, but for some reason, Mr. Nichelle, who was the executive producer, great freaking guy, said, we're going to start this one at night. Well, guess what? It was about 40 degrees out. You could see your breath, and it was pouring down rain. So what do you think the priority was? Wasn't food.
Yep.
It wasn't water. It was get dry and get warm. Like right now, you're going to be hypothermic, like immediately. So it was all situational, dude. Whatever the priority was is what you focused on right then and there. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yep. And what were some of your favorite locations, and what were your like least favorite, as far as, you know, for whatever reason, which ones did you like the most and not like the most, you know?
Well, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to go to Africa, right? I was always enamored by the big five, you know, elephants and rhinos and, you know, the apex predator types. And so when we shot in South Africa, that was pretty badass, because we were walking through the Kruger National Park, and I
saw that.
It's right there. They're right there. So it's like, it's so funny. Ever since that episode, I wouldn't even go to a zoo, because it was like walking through a zoo with no fences. You know what I mean? Where there'd be lions 50 feet away from you, like, boop, whoa, you know, or whatever. So South Africa was absolutely, it was one of those places that it took your breath away. Same with New Zealand. We shot in New Zealand, and have you ever seen, what was that series, Lord of the Rings?
Yep.
You ever seen Lord of the Rings? That was all filmed in New Zealand. And I got to tell you, when we landed on the South Island and we got out, I literally went, like, it took my breath away. It looked like a painting with these huge waterfalls. Like, just, it didn't even look real. It was, I am getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. So I'd say South Africa and New Zealand were like the coolest places. The worst place, Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka?
Dude, I had, from my waist down, 220 some leech bites on me.
Oh, man.
From my waist down.
Wow.
They were crazy. All, it looked like somebody shot me with bird shot. Wow. And then we also had bot flies that embedded in our skin. I don't know if you know what a bot fly is, but anyways, it's a nasty looking thing that's in your skin that digs a hole. And then you got to pull it out with tweezers. We had this bot fly party. Everybody got drunk and because it hurt. And we're pulling these bot flies out. It was disgusting, dude. It was so gross, man. I still got scars from it. But
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sri Lanka was just nasty. We were dropped off in a mangrove, leech infested, nasty. Oh, dude, it stunk. Everything was rotten. Just the nastiest jungle I think I've ever been in. And we were there for 2 weeks. That was the longest. Oh, dude, let me tell you, man. I was like, get me the hell out of here. Like, bro, bad, nasty place. One other place I'd have to say would have been, well, it was beautiful, but I'd never been in that cold of weather. Was in Wyoming with Matt when we had that broken down snowmobile. It was so cold, it hurt. Is the only way. It hurt to urinate. Like, it was that cold, and that was during the day. Because we had a doctor with us, and they were constantly monitoring our temperatures and stuff, because like it was dangerous cold. Yep. And I remember at night, it got down to like 35 below. Like, that's cold. That's really cold. That will kill you. You will not survive the night in that cold. No way. There ain't no, well, let's snuggle. There ain't no snuggling, dude. You better have a fire and shelter, or you're dead. You'll be a corpse sickle in the morning. So just out of the sheer coldness, that place sucked. Yeah.
Do you prefer colder climates for survival?
Nope. No. Hot. Yeah, I've had hypothermia 18 times.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Literally 18 times. It's from mild to severe. And so, like, my tolerance to cold weather right now is like not good. Like, I'd rather it be 105 degrees than cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, I remember I was watching your Pennsylvania episode, and you know, I live in PA now, so it was interesting to watch. And it was funny that you were like, you didn't really like it that much, guy. I figured you'd like it because it's like your home state, but you said you didn't like the cold and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and that was the episode that started at night. The one I just talked about, that was PA. So we started soaking wet and cold. And once you're soaking wet and cold, and I had fleece on, which fleece takes forever to dry. It's great to keep you warm, but once it gets wet, you're toast. And so we started, now I was soaking wet from the get-go. And yeah, I was cold, man. I had hypothermia, mild hypothermia, but I was definitely hypothermic there for sure.
So this is kind of a fun question. You spent a lot of time in wilderness areas, obviously around the world, and then obviously in the military. I'm sure you were in some secluded places. Have you ever had any like weird encounters, possibly with Bigfoot, or what are your thoughts on Bigfoot?
Yeah, we actually shot an episode with Cody. I don't remember where it was at, but it was like right in the middle of Bigfoot country, right? And he even asked me on the episode, do you believe in Bigfoot? And the answer is no. And the reason I don't is, I mean, ever since I was a kid, they've been talking about these things. After 50 years, you can't tell me that a hunter hasn't shot one, hasn't been hit by a car, bones haven't been found, a skull hasn't been found, etc., etc. I just ain't buying it. Okay. I'm just ain't buying it. Where are they hiding?
Right.
That's my opinion, you know, and I know there's people like, oh, they're out there. Well, in 50 years of my life, no one has shot one, killed one. You know, there's no way an animal that big, like the size of a grizzly bear, basically, can just hide. It's physically impossible. Somebody is going to see one, and they can't live forever. They got to die. So there's got to be remains, bones, skull. And that's the only reason. I'm a very kind of black and white person, you know. Even where I live, here near the Wari Forest, people said they've seen them. I'm like, dude, we eat mushrooms or something. Like, no, you didn't see Bigfoot, you know. But no, I don't believe in Bigfoot. No, I do not.
Yeah, and obviously you haven't seen anything then. Obviously, all the times you're in the woods, probably not.
I have not. I've seen some weird shit in the sky, but I've never, like, seen like some creature, but I've seen some very weird stuff in the sky that is unexplainable. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I guess we'll move into firearms and tactics now. So it's been debated extensively how reliable AR-15s are in comparison to like foreign rifles, AKs, FALs, or other types. So I'm assuming you have a lot of experience with foreign weapons. I've seen like a picture of you with an AK. What are your thoughts? Do you think the AR-15 is reliable? Do you think an AK or FAL is better? You know, what are your thoughts on the reliability?
I'd never carried a FinFal in combat. You know, it's 308, very heavy. I actually was one of the weapons in the 18 Bravo course, the Special Forces Weapons Sergeant course, but that was the last time I touched one. Haven't even shot one since then. I carried 3 primary weapons in Afghanistan. I carried either an H&K 416 or a Colt, like I had a Colt as well, 10-inch Colt, an AK-47 variant, or an AK-74. So I can tell you I did this myself just because I could do it. I took my AK one day and I took off the feed tray and I squirted a bunch of toothpaste in it. And I took a handful of sand and I shut it, put a magazine in it, because I read online it would fire with toothpaste and sand in it. And I'm like, I'm calling bullshit flag. It fired.
Wow, really?
On full auto, shot a full mag. Yeah. I never did it with an M4.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to understand that, you know, an M4 has higher tolerances than an AK, right?
Right.
That's why you can get away with beating up an AK and it getting dirty, because the tolerances are a little looser, right?
Yep.
So, you know, great gun. I love a 7.62 by 39. We had a gun, which is actually really cool. At one of the bases that I rotated into was in Asadabad. They had an M4 that guys would shoot while we're there and never cleaned it. They were just seeing how many round counts they could shoot through it before it malfunctioned. Man, I'm trying to remember. So freaking long ago. I want to say it was like 18,000 rounds or something.
Wow, that's crazy.
Something like that. and it was still shooting. I think it was
Wow.
18,000. I don't quote me on it. There was a lot. There was a board. The gun was right there, and there was a board, and it said, "Hey, if you shoot this thing, do your round count." Because because dude, you get to do that shit there. You know, you can do whatever you want. Especially the unit I was in that had all the ammo and whatever. I would take a case of grenades and just go throw grenades if I want. But yeah, AK, you know, lighter tolerances, very reliable. You know, an H&K 416, you know, that's a very high end. It's a piston driven gun. Very few units use it. Delta uses it. SEAL Team 6 uses it. We used it. It's not a gun you're going to see in, you know, vanilla soft units just because they cost a lot of money. I personally carried one for a while, and it was kind of top heavy, and you put a can on it, and it was, I don't know, it just felt a little odd. And I was so used to shooting a Colt, I literally said, just give me a 10-inch Colt. And so it was a Knight's Armament. But yeah, I mean, look, just like any weapon system, if you're going to shoot it a lot, clean it. I'm not saying you got to take the thing apart down to the spring, but just do a basic field maintenance. Punch the bore a couple times, you know, take the buffer spring out, clean that, you know, clean the bolt, take the bolt apart, just basic maintenance, and it'll fire. A lot of people believe that you should never really clean it, like scrub clean it. It should always be a little bit dirty, a little bit. You don't want to put too much oil on it. That'll cause a malfunction as well. I use frog lube on my gun, and actually, we actually tried this out in Afghanistan. We were using 30 weight motor oil.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And just tried it. I mean, couldn't really tell any difference. Like if you had it, if you didn't have anything, you could literally use 30 grade motor oil. I mean, think about it. Heat, oil, right?
Yep, sure.
So, yeah.
Yes. Oh, so that was actually answered some of my other questions here. I was going to ask you if you have any tips for people on how to keep their AR platform rifles from failing. You know, if let's say we're talking about a long-term disaster situation, you know, where you only have one rifle, you want to make sure it works, you know. Is there anything that you did while you were overseas to make sure that nothing broke while you're on a mission?
Well, we had extra parts, you know, and I am an 18 Bravo, so I'm familiar with fixing. I'm not a gunsmith by any stretch of imagination, but I can completely take apart an M4 down to the springs, everything. I would say that, like, reliability is a big thing. So like quality, buy a quality gun. Don't buy a cheap ass gun. If you go, wow, I only paid $600 for this M4. Well, you got a $600 gun. So you think that $600 gun is the same as a Knight's Armament or a Daniel Defense? No, it's not. And there's a reason why it's 600. And I've seen them. I've seen them in gun shows, 650. You know, you got to think about quality. And, you know, it's just maintenance. A lot of times when people have like issues with M4s, it's magazines. So you got to be careful that you don't buy those crap steel magazines with the orange follower. I use two mags only. Magpul, great magazines, and standard Colt M4 green follower. That's it. They fit in all my guns. When I hit the mag release, it falls out. I don't have to strip it. And so these are things, again, shaking out your kit, right? Normally when you have problems with your M4, it's either like an extraction problem, maybe extractor is worn. Man, just clean it. You know, I'm not saying you have to clean it every time you shoot the damn thing, but you know, you put 1,000 rounds through, it's probably time to clean it, right? I mean, same with my pistols. I don't clean my pistols every time I shoot them. You know, once I put about 1,000 rounds through my Glocks, my Glock 17, my go-to gun, I'll clean it. Very reliable gun. I love Glocks. It's my go-to guns. I got a bunch of them. But yeah, I would just say buy quality, man. Don't try to skim and buy cheap. Like, oh my God, I can buy 30 of these magazines for $5 a piece. Yeah, there's a reason why you're buying it for $5 a piece, because they're shit. Garbage. Right?
Yep. So if you were to, let's say, buy an AR platform rifle, how would you, for general purpose use for different, let's say you want to use it for self-defense, maybe hunt with it occasionally, how would you have it set up? Would you like barrel length, caliber, accessories? What would you think?
Yeah, unless you've got an FFL or pay the tax stamp for short barrel carbine, 10-inch. I like a 10-inch carbine. I don't plan on shooting at someone 500 yards away with it. It's a very specific gun, it's CQB, which I can still hit consistently at 300 yards all day long with the thing, even with a red dot sight. But for those of you that don't want to go and get your tax stamp, just get a 14.5-inch gun. And again, quality, whether it has key mod or whatever on the foregrip, it doesn't matter. I would absolutely say for home self-defense, like a light, have to have a light. Got to have a light. And you got to have a red dot sight.
Okay.
These, low power variable scopes, from 1 to 6, those are great. If you can afford them. Some of them are really expensive, and I've got 2 of them, good quality, but you're going to pay for them. You're going to pay for those things. But if you want something just for your house, a red dot sight, because look, you're not shooting 50 yards away, maybe unless you live in a mansion or some shit, but like it's all close. But you need a light on it, and you need a red dot sight and a sling. Definitely have a sling. But I watch all these YouTube videos, and I'm not going to mention names, but there's guys out there that got like PEQ2s and freaking, scopes with aim points on it. And look, guys, you don't need all that stuff. A PEQ2 is only good if you got nods, right? It's got an IR, obviously, but you don't need all that. You don't need it. You need a good optic, red dot sight, and a light. That's it, and a sling.
That's it.
And matter of fact, my house gun, one of my CQB guns, all it has is a light laser combo on the side. It's a light and a laser on top of it.
Yep.
A mil spec aim point, drop down iron sights. That's the other thing. Don't be that person that's got a rail with an optic on it with no pop-up sights. Let me tell you, I learned that in Afghanistan. And you need to have it not to get off with an Allen wrench. You need a quick release, because if that thing shits the bed, which I had actually the front of mine shatter, useless. It was useless. You don't have time to take an Allen wrench. You just need off it goes and pop up your sights, and you're in business. So let me refresh that. Front and rear sight pop up, an optic, and a flashlight. You're good.
Makes sense. And a sling.
And a sling. Yeah, absolutely. Sling. Preferably a patrol sling, not a 1-point sling. Those are great for CQB, but if you got to climb or anything, they suck. Just get a patrol sling. There's a lot of good ones out there. Bunch of guys make them, former Delta dudes. I think Vickers makes a good one. And Count Lamb, I think, makes one. These guys know what they're doing, right? Those are the kind of slings you want to buy. The 1-point sling, I got a whole story about that. I'm not going to get into that. Wore it on a mission one time, and my gun came off. But anyway, it was just a mess. I never wore it after that. So, but yeah, you're good right there, dude. That's all you need. You don't need a suppressor. If you want to go buy one, but again, you have to get a tax stamp, and that's fine. You're going to pay for a good suppressor these days, $900.
Yep. I just ordered one, actually. Yeah.
You're gonna pay $1,000 for a good one.
Yep. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but so you train a lot of people over the years too. I'm sure you've trained a lot of people. What would you say are some common mistakes that you noticed with the way people train, and also the way their weapons are set up and their kit? How they have their kit set up.
The biggest thing I would say when it comes to shooting is, and this is one of the things I talk about, is target selection. So I see these dudes shooting on YouTube, and they've got silhouette targets with concentric circles on the target. A zone, B zone, that you can see. My challenge to you is the person you're going to be shooting at going to have circles painted on their shirt, and is it going to give you a point of aim? The answer is no. you're going to see a blob of a person and you're going to shoot center mass. So target selection is huge. I only shoot at IPSC targets. That's it. They're anatomically correct, and you can't see the zones because it's just perforated. You're 7 yards away, you can't see it. So that would be one, for sure. Another thing that people get wrapped up in, speed, because you got all these guys online now. You know, there's one guy in particular, it just annoys the crap out of me, but he's a very good shooter. Fast, accurate, really, really good. But he knows he's never spent a day in the military. But I know he trains military guys, and it just blows my mind because he's just a good shooter. Don't worry about speed. Speed will come. The other thing I would say is don't worry about a pretty target, meaning the guy goes to the range. He's like, hey, check out my target. And he's got the whole center of the target completely shot out. It's just a hole. And that's great. But what that's telling me is they've not really found the balance between speed and accuracy. They're doing all the fundamentals, sight alignment, sight picture, grip, stance, breathing, follow through, trigger press, all of it, and they're doing it well, but they're shooting too slow. I can be honest with you, when I go to the range, I throw rounds out of the A zone all the time because I'll dial my speed up to the point where I'm shooting past my capability, then I dial it back down. That's how you get better. But for those of you that want to come home with that fancy little target, you're wasting your time. Speed it up, man. Don't be afraid to throw a few. That's how you get better. There's not a guy I know that I worked with. I don't care what unit. They'll tell you the same thing. That's how you get faster. Speed it up. Once you get outside the A zone, then dial it back in. Kit, here's the biggie on kit. So you got a vest, right? Guys, just because there's a loop doesn't mean you need to put a pouch on it. Okay? Like I've seen people with pouches everywhere. Like, come on. Like you don't need to do that. Carry the essentials. My go-to, like I've carried, oh my God, I don't know how many different types of assault kit. Some for amphibious operations, water work, maritime, different than what I'd wear on a land warfare mission. Or like I wore a paraclete vest in Iraq. That's what we were issued, really good. And I was like, man, this thing's kind of bulky and it's hot. And I went straight to the old school Rhodesian type chest rig. And I don't own this company. I don't know the guys in this company. I'm not getting paid, but I can tell you hands down, I wore it in Afghanistan. The best assault Rhodesian assault rig I've ever worn is made by London Bridge Trading, and it's their 1961 vest. And it's my understanding that the guys at Dam Neck designed it. They got some SEAL Team 6, and I would believe it because it's perfectly balanced. It's got pouches in the front for 8 magazines, M4 magazines, 2 pistol mags, 2 frag pouches for hand grenades, and then 2 big pouches on each side with 2 pouches for radios, for embedders. So if you're carrying 2 radios, and what's really cool is they thought it out, is the pouch in front of the embedder pouch is just big enough to fit a 5590, which is a lithium battery that you can run your embedder off of if you have the right connector. And that's the way I used to run mine, because that battery on that thing ran out of juice real quick. So I could literally put my 5590 and I have my embedder on for 2 damn days. No worries. Great vest. Great. I love it. I wore one in Afghanistan. I don't wear it anymore. It's kind of retired. I got a new one. But you can also buy knockoffs from like Fry Industries. It's a knockoff and it's made in China. Yeah. It's certainly not the quality of a London Bridge Trading vest, not even close. But for the average person, if you're not going to beat it up, and look, you're going to pay for expensive kit. Okay. You can't drive a Lamborghini and pay, Volkswagen prices. It just doesn't work that way. Yep. And I'm all about quality. So yeah, you buy a London Bridge Trading kit, their price reflects the quality, right? Professionals use that shit. If you don't want to spend that kind of money, then you can get knockoffs, but understand it's a knockoff. The stitching's different. The zipper's different, right? It ain't going to take a beating like one of those things. So that would be my answers to that.
So it seems like you like more of a slick setup, not too much stuff on you, just kind of more like a Rhodesian style, not too many pouches, not too many mags.
Yeah, I mean, what's really nice about the 1961 vest is you can carry 8 mags if you want, or you can carry 4. You can just put 1 in each. You got 2 pistol pouches. I mean, it's very, I don't know who thought it up, but whoever the guys that thought it's very, very well designed. Probably in my personal opinion, the best designed Rhodesian type rack I've ever seen. And like I said, I wore it down range. If you look at pictures of me online of me, you'll see me wearing that exact rig. And like I said, it has 2 frag pouches, which I always carried frags. Everything was even. What was on one side of the was on the other side. It was exactly, and you could attach a backpack. It had attachments for a backpack as well. So, but yeah, bomber piece of kit. Love it.
And when you were overseas, did you carry a lot of mags on you? Did you have plates all the time, or were you more, what was your? It depends on the mission, probably, I'm sure. But
yeah. I'll be honest with you, man. This is a long conversation, but yeah, I carried a lot. I carried 8 in my vest and 1 in the gun. And then as you start evolving, you become, ounce conscious. Well, we're just hitting this target, and I'm only gonna carry 4 in one of my gun. And then I had a bad situation that I was involved in where we basically ran out of ammo, and from that point forward, I had 8 mags on me no matter where I went. That was it. I had 8 mags in one of my gun. I didn't give a shit about the weight. But a lot of guys started not carrying pistols.
Not carrying pistols?
Yeah, wow. Dude, I'm dead serious. Like, I know guys that were in Delta that I work with in SEAL Team 6, and, I'd be talking to them like, dude, where's your pistol? It's like, ain't carrying one.
Wow.
Straight up. So, of course, peer pressure, I started not carrying a pistol until I had a situation where I needed a pistol. I'm like, that's done. I'm carrying a pistol now. I'll carry the extra weight. So it was just because I had some bad experiences downrange. I'm like, man, oh man, if I only had a couple extra mags or, whatever, things could have been a lot better, but I didn't. So, and all I wore was a very simple, low profile plate carrier. Plate front and the back, and I just throw my vest over it. It fit perfect, very comfortable. Yeah. And if I wanted to just drop my plates, I could take that off and put my vest back on. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's what I kind of liked about it too, was modular.
What would you say are some tips for people training now during the ammo shortage?
Airsoft, dude. I got to tell you, I always thought that stuff was chicken shit. I own airsoft guns. We use airsoft guns in Wetsy. I can tell you this, the ones that I bought are mil spec. They got metal frames. The pistol, if I put my Glock, a real Glock, next to one of airsoft, you can't tell the difference. They're straight up. Everything works like a real one. Airsoft, guys, it is a great way to train and spend pennies, and you can shoot right in your backyard. Absolute no-brainer, dude. If you would have asked me this question 3 years ago, I'd be like, nah. Now I'm like, oh hell yeah, because now I've been using it, dude. They're accurate, man. I mean, if you're shooting a regular pistol range, I could shoot a group like this at 10 yards with my pistol, with my airsoft gun.
Wow.
Oh yeah, slide. Everything moves just like a real gun. It actually has some recoil to it. And same with the rifle. Very, very accurate. Very accurate. Yeah. Airsoft, 100%.
I'm going to give that a try, maybe. I'm one of those types of people, like the way you were, where I think it's kind of like, like it's kind of.
I'm a believer now. I'm telling you right now, I can walk right out my backyard. I'm stressed out for the day. I grab my airsoft pistol, do some shooting, do some draws. It fits right in the holster. Life's good. I spent 10 cents. Like literally, right?
What about, okay, so let's say you do a lot of training with your airsoft gun, but there's still times you have to actually live fire. What would you say? Yeah. What would you say people should do if they do have to live fire? Like, just keep the round count low and have like a specific plan when you go?
Hey, guys, it's all about quality, right? If you got 100 rounds, right? I've done this. Ammo is hard to find. I went to the range one day at 100 pistol rounds, 9mm. I did 100 draws. Boom, reholster. Boom, I had my pro timer. Boom, I shot 100 single shot draws, center mass, 7 yards. That's That's what I would do. Don't just go there and start shooting. Have a plan. If you're a rich person, you got a lot of ammo, still have a plan. Go to the range with like, I'm gonna practice this and this. That's it. If you're having a hard time picking up the front sight, do drills that help you pick up the front sight. Don't even go through a draw. Just go from the compressed ready and punch the gun out and pick up the front sight and shoot. If that's what, break it down is what I'm saying. Don't break it down into compartments. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you're having a hard time with mag changes, you know, just have the gun out, boom, one shot, mag change. Don't even draw. Just do the mag change and focus on that skill and only that skill.
Okay.
That's what and I do it all the time. I'll focus on one skill. That's it.
Okay. That's really good. So just had some like working out questions because it looks like you're in good shape and you have your supplement company. So what's your typical workout routine look like, especially now that you're not as young as you used to be, right? So you had to alter your workout routine, I'm sure, a little bit. So what do you typically do?
I work out 5 days a week, you know, sometimes 6, but a minimum of 5. Normally I take Wednesdays and Sundays off, but my workout is actually a unique one. My biggest priority is injury. I don't want to get hurt, right? Because I've been hurt. I've torn my rotator cuff. I've had plenty of injuries and can't afford that right now. So that's number one. I don't lift heavy. Everybody looks at me and like, dude, how much you bench? You know, I'm not a bodybuilder and I'm not a power lifter. You know, I consider myself a hybrid athlete. Okay. You know, I can run and swim and lift and shoot and climb and ski. Like that's my personal goal. I don't want to be able to go, yeah, I can bench 500. You know, that's impractical. I want to have very good functional fitness, athleticism. Right. So I do full body workouts. I do a lot of HIIT training. I do a lot of isometrics. I do cardio, but I hit it hard. So I will tell you one thing. I pat myself on the back, but when I work out like I'm not waking up tomorrow. Right. I work out like this is your last workout, and I literally say that to myself and it's a weird thing. I have actually a picture of a friend of mine who died, who was a real athlete. I have a laminated picture of him. He was a former Ranger, SF, Delta guy. Every morning he called me, hey man, you up yet? You ready to work out? He's already at the gym. So he motivates me. Like that's my motivation. But the bottom line is, I will tell you, when I'm at the gym, I'm at the gym. I don't want you to talk to me. I don't want you to ask me about dual survival. It is my time. It's a selfish time. And I know that sounds bad for those of you listening, but it is. I don't want to be there talking to anybody. I am there focused 100% on what I'm doing. You know, my girlfriend works out with me and she's the same way. We will literally walk past each other and won't even make eye contact. No, I'm serious. She's that focused. And I love it because she is there to work out. She's not there for me. She's there for her. Right. And so that's what I tell you, man. I'm extremely focused. It's all work, no play. I'm not there. You know, it's not Starbucks. Let's talk about this and that. I don't play that game, man. And I don't mean to sound rude to people, but like if somebody starts talking to me, I may say hi. Like I gotta get back to work. Yep. That's it. So it's intense, dude. It's I will tell you, my workouts are intense. I go in there and try to crush it every single time. You know, and there's a lot of guys, I'll tell you, again, I don't even know some of these people, but there's a lot of guys out there right now that are super motivational dudes. Like, you know, David Goggins, his former Navy SEAL guy, was like overweight. Guy's like a, you know, ultra marathon runner now. It's stud. You know, watch people like that, the mindset of those guys, right? Don Rasso, don't know the guy. I've watched a lot of his YouTube. He's an animal. The guy's in stud shape, you know, former SEAL. You know, it's the mindset. You know, when I'm at the gym, I kind of like, you know, I'm kind of like in a different world, man. It's really odd. The minute I walk through the door, tunnel vision. Yep.
And what about your diet? Do you have any special diet or just balanced? Just do you eat like
word. I don't like the word diet. It's like a 4-letter word. Like I've never been on a diet. You know, and everybody comes up with this paleo diet and this diet and that diet. Everything's like a new mousetrap. You know, like guys, the fitness triad is proper nutrition, rest and recovery, and exercise. Like that's it. So if you're eating crap, like I have a buddy of mine, he's overweight. He goes to the gym 6 days a week. I'm like, well, what are you eating? Well, I eat, McDonald's for breakfast and I eat Taco Bell. Like, dude, stop. That's why you're eating crap. Just use some common sense. Look at yourself in the mirror and be honest. Like you eat pizza all day and crap for lunch and crap for dinner. You're not taking supplements. Yeah, you're not doing the right thing. Sure, man. As a matter of fact, tonight I just had my girlfriend and I went to Bojangles and I had some bow rounds, right? But I work it off and I don't eat it every day. It's kind of like a treat, like for me. But we eat healthy. We eat salads. We eat meat. I mean, I love sweets, like I don't put cakes in front of me. I'll eat it, but I eat it with discipline. You know what I mean? Like but I go to the gym and work it off. I run. Right. It's not, and that's why you eat it. Now you're 40 pounds overweight because you're not working it off. And so, yeah, I know I'm not on any diet. I had never been on a diet. I just try to eat healthy as much as I can. I drink a lot of water. Well, actually not that much, but I should be drinking more, but I drink water. I try to stay away from sodas. I don't drink alcohol at all. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. So all of that adds up, I sleep. I get a good night's sleep. I don't like getting 2 hours of sleep. I'm not firing on all cylinders. I don't need 8, but I definitely need 6. Like I need 6 hours of sleep to feel refreshed in the morning, especially if I had some kind of endurance event or something that I did or went to the gym and crushed it really hard. So it's all part of it, man. It's all part of it. People that wake up in the morning and just coffee. It's another, not to go down a tangent, like you're already dehydrated.
Yep.
When you wake up, you're dehydrated. You haven't had anything to drink in 6-8 hours. Your body needs water. Drink one of those little hand grenade bottle water. You don't talk about just at least drink that.
Yep.
And then drink some coffee. You got to have coffee, but just little things. And again, I talk about this stuff in Wetsy, little things, meditation. I meditate sometimes, not all the time, but I'll meditate in the weirdest places. I'll do it in the shower, bathtub, sauna, just taking time to just do some breathing exercises and just kind of clear your head. And my buddy Dale, who I have the coaching business with, he's the one that taught me this, and it's great. It works, especially when you can't turn your brain off. There's some very cool exercises, mental exercises you can do. 5 minutes. I've done it in a car when I'm not driving, just sitting there, just kind of, so there's a lot of things you can do, folks. But getting back to diet. No, I don't have a diet. I just eat right.
So you don't like sit there and count how many grams of protein you have or
no, carbs? Sir, I do not. No, okay. Sir, I do not. And I know people that do it, and good on them. I am all about performance. So if I'm performing the way I want to perform, I'm doing what I need to do. I don't care what my calories are or how much protein. Now I do try to eat a lot of protein to keep my muscle up, but I don't calorie count and all. And I love people get wrapped around the axle. To me, that kind of takes away from the fun of the whole thing. Like I don't want to be that anal about it. As long as I look the way I want to look and perform the way I want to perform, I'm good. The minute that starts deviating, then I'll look at that stuff. But right now, at my age, I'm in the best shape of my life, knock on wood. I've got a great workout partner with my girlfriend, and she's very, she wants to go to the gym every day. But you don't want to overtrain either, but I've got a good partner, and that helps. I don't have to drag myself to the gym, which I will. But when you have somebody that wants to go with you and motivate you, that just makes it even that much better. You know what I mean?
Right. So having a training partner definitely helps for sure.
100%.
What about older people? Like, I have a lot of followers that they say, "Oh, Greg, I can't really work out because I'm old, I have injuries." And sometimes I feel like it's an excuse. Other times I feel like some of it's valid. Do you have any tips for someone who's, being an older guy? I mean, you're not like that old, but what are some training tips for people that may have, pre-existing issues,
Look, there are some people that are been injured that had maybe neck, back, knee, hip, whatever. They just can't work out. I get it.
Mhm.
But if you're not that bad and you're mobile and you can get around, there's no reason why you can't get up in the morning and go for a walk. There's no
Mhm.
reason why you can't go for a walk after dinner. If you're planting your carcass down in front of the TV and watching TV for 2 hours, shame on you. If you could physically get up and go for a walk, walking is excellent exercise. Excellent.
Mhm.
I like hiking, that's walking, but
Mhm.
you just look in the mirror and don't bullshit yourself. Excuses sound best to the person that's saying them, right? Well, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm too old. I don't have enough time. It's too expensive. That's all crap. You go to Planet Fitness and join for $9.99. Okay, everybody's got $9.99. So don't say
Yep.
you can't go to a gym. That's bullshit.
Yep.
Time. You know what? If it's your choice. If you want to sit in front of the TV and not go work out, that's your choice. Don't bitch and moan when you look in the mirror and you can't see your feet, or you can't walk to your mailbox and get winded. That's your fault and yours only. And yeah, that's harsh, but that's facts. That's reality. You're in control of your own destiny. End of story. And for people that don't exercise and wonder why they're sick all the time, because you don't exercise. Look at COVID. It's a proven fact. If you got a strong immune system and you're healthy and you exercise, it fights off that shit. Proven fact.
Yep.
Proven. If ever you're going to go work out, now's the time to do it. And take, supplements that actually work, immune boost or multivitamin, whatever. It's not that expensive. I mean, Jesus, how, health, yes, probably the most important thing out there. Right.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I don't do well when people make excuses why they can't work out. Unless they are so injured, I get it. They can't. Oh, I work all the time. So you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Really? Okay. We all know that's BS. It's just an excuse. That's all it is.
Yep.
It's just an excuse.
So thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
Some good information I got here from you.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one, man. We'll maybe get in the weeds about, some more detailed stuff where we can talk more specific. That was like a broad stroke thing. But yeah, let me know if you want to do another one. If there's like maybe 3 subjects you want to talk about, and we can really dive into the weeds about it. I love doing that.
So with that being said, guys, if you're interested in any of his training or his supplements, check the description box below the video. And you can go to joeteti.com. He also has Twitter and YouTube. How can people find you on Twitter and YouTube?
Yeah, you're going to laugh when I tell you this. Carrie handles that for me. But if you go on Facebook, it's just Joseph Teti. The one I had before got taken down, but you'll see my picture and stuff on it. You can go through there and find it all. And I think the Twitter links, and actually if you go on joeteti.com, all of that stuff's on there. It's all on there.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Cool,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you for the time, brother. It was good.
No problem.